Adversity? Bring it. The struggle? We welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
Welcome back to the No Snooze Podcast. We're on Epi 5.
Yes.
Epi 5.
Official Epi
Big Cinco.
5.
It's
a big one.
It's a big number for me because my brother just had his first son, and he's Frank the Fifth, so 5's a common number these days.
He's a cute boy, too.
Yeah.
Much
Doesn't look
cuter,
like Minnie
much
Mouse,
cuter than
but-
Uncle Mike, I'll tell you that.
Oh, it's messed up. So we have some housekeeping stuff to get
Yes.
right into.
Yep.
Uh,
Let's talk about the pod bod.
the pod bod.
Right, so there's three things that play into that pod bod. We have our push-up contest,
Yeah.
which we have some breaking news. You want to give me a drum roll, please?
I'm not happy about this.
I
one.
have officially passed Michael Pirelli on the push-up app. So
I had 3 months start too.
Thank you, PushFit. I am now climbing the ladder
Are you gonna
globally.
keep doing it though until you get number
until
one?
I'm number one, and then I'll sit at number one for a while. And then when you challenge me to something else, I think we'll maybe go in a different direction.
Well, it's not over. So if you blow out a shoulder,
Yeah,
or
I know that's what you're hoping
with a
for
lead
too.
pipe.
You're waiting for me to just get injured, and then I know your plan, man.
Yeah.
We also have the Fitbit walking group. Tell them about that.
So we started a little walking group. The only rule is you don't run. You can run if you want, but not in that group. We just want to do something manageable that you can incorporate into your day. And I think, Claudio, am I dominating that one? Am I in the first place?
No,
Yep,
no
that's what I
shade that
thought.
way, CV. No shade.
So that's the walking one.
Yep.
I call it the walk king. What?
Oh, the walk king. I like that, Mike.
What'd you say, Claudio? Dominate anything. It's all good. You can take that one. Wow.
And so just speaking of the pod bods, we had to really make it official because all the epis are now going to be up on YouTube.
Yes.
So if we're out here looking sloppy, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So it's just about 2020 and just being tight.
Yeah, got to
Right?
get tighter.
Get right and get tight. We had that TV show too. Let's talk about that quick.
Yeah, so there's a producer reached out to me, a really good guy, and he was looking for agents who had people that moved back home. So I submitted a bunch of clients that bought back where they grew up, and Dave and Karina were one of them, and they got picked for the show. And Dana and I also got picked for the show as an episode, and I'm an agent on the show, so I'm representing them in episode 6 or whatever it's going to be. So this weekend we shot.
It was fun. It was really fun.
Did you think of were you surprised by anything, or was it what you expected?
So I was surprised that there was only 4 of them that showed up.
Yeah.
But what they did was incredible. They had drones all over the place.
Pretty legit.
The equipment was amazing. CV, you would have felt right at home because all of this stuff was like top-notch equipment.
Yeah, it was good.
But at first, when they just got out of the car, I was like, where is everything? And then they started pulling out the drones, all the equipment.
Yeah.
So it was a really fun experience, but I think the producer said it best. We were like, wow, we're tired. And he said what he feels is that TV is a different type of energy. Like everybody does a 9 to 5, a 10 to 6, whatever. The hours were the same. We just filmed for a day straight, but the energy was incredible. It was something that I haven't tapped into.
Yeah, and then
go ahead.
you do takes also. So you you crush a take, and then they're like, all right, I like what you said there, but I want you to say this. So you have to redo it.
Well, I think they might have said that to you, but they were calling us the one take wonder.
Well,
So
I didn't
have. Yeah, that's pretty cool though, because you're going to be in 2 episodes. So we'll keep everybody updated when that comes out. But that's pretty exciting. All right, man. So this is Epi 5, and this is a big one because we are introducing our first guest. We felt that you guys got to know us in the first 4 episodes, so we thought it was right that we would bring in not only a great friend, but a mentor and someone who is fully committed on his own journey of not snoozing on life. So we want to introduce James McLeod. This man really is a force of positivity. James is dedicated to shaping bodies and minds through self-love and inclusivity. Growing up with vitiligo, James overcame great adversity and bullying. He now shares his story as a motivational speaker, social influencer, personal trainer, and author. You can find him at local schools, youth programs, churches, and on social media, inspiring others.
James released his first children's book, The Boy Behind the Face, and has been featured in global fashion magazine CR Fashion Book. As a young boy, James was determined not to let bullying define who he is. Now James has dedicated his life to supporting and inspiring others to overcome their insecurities and fears. Welcome to the pod.
Yeah, man. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. Lovely to be here. No snooze.
Yeah. You're one of the early adopters, so thank you for that. You jumped right on the bandwagon.
Yeah, so full transparency, we had done something with James earlier when we were fitness and finance.
Yep.
But we wanted to take it a little bit further now and, just introduce you guys to him and have him tell his story. It's interesting that we're finding that, through adversity and the struggle, a lot of the time define who we are as people. I feel you fit that mold, and we definitely want to know more. So tell us about, your upbringing and how you kind of came up, James.
Yeah, I grew up in small city in Westchester, single parent household, 2 siblings. Mother took care of us. Dad had a drug addiction in the early 80s, kind of affected our home. And growing up for me was just, wow, no father around, no father figure, not even teaching me how to become a young man. Kind of put a toll on my life. But not only that, I grew up and I had a condition which was called vitiligo, which left my left side of my face pitch white as a kid. So I had a lot of challenges, a lot of struggling growing up with vitiligo as well. But personally, just growing up was a fight. My mom and my dad finally got a divorce in the early 90s, and me personally, it took a toll on me. Even growing up, going to school, kids would make fun of me, would say mean things to me every single day. I couldn't cope with that. I did things to act out, to get attention in school. Going back to that, it's just like, wow, to where I'm at now. But, kids would say mean things to me, like, who erased the other side of your face? Cow face, zebra face, skunk.
Yeah, James, though, for those who are watching on YouTube, visually they can see. But can you actually explain what vitiligo is? And when were you born with vitiligo? Did that come at a certain age?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with vitiligo at the age of 18 months old.
Wow.
And vitiligo, for me, it's just it's an autoimmune disease that leaves small white blotches on your skin. And then 1.5% of the population in the world actually have vitiligo. You could fairly see it on my skin because I'm fairly dark skinned. But for me, it was very challenging growing up with vitiligo. I grew up most of my childhood thinking it was a birthmark. Yeah. My mother told me it was a birthmark. The only thing that's out there is like makeup or some laser treatment. You see a dermatologist for it.
Yep.
My mother was like, "Hey, listen, she should take me to like a hospital in I think it was called Grasslands, and we'll go there." And I remember going to like dark rooms trying to get the shade of my complexion back. But we did a couple of treatments. Nothing ever happened. Wasn't interested in it.
In terms of those treatments, though, so you would go in a room to do what? Would they put
it was just a dark room, just with light in there, just light,
really,
different shades of light. Yeah, and I think I was
trying to reset the pigment or something.
Yeah, the melatonin, the skin cells or whatever. I don't know too much about it. I was very young.
Right.
I had to be like 5-6 years old when doing that. But I remember being like 11, and my mother, there was a makeup product came up called Thermoblend. My mother was like, "Hey, we should try this." And I'm like, nah, I'm not trying no makeup on my face.
Wow.
And that's pretty much, I just lived with vitiligo my entire life. And
well, I didn't even know what vitiligo was. I thought it was Viltaggio for a long time. We were talking before. And
that's the Italian version.
Naive, but yeah, I thought you were Italian. I was like, oh, Steve Viltaggio's coming up. But it's just that I met you and you educated me. Now I'm aware. Because I didn't really see it at all. I would see people with some beauty marks, but never knew what was the reason.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely not life threatening. Growing up for me, like I said, was in school, kids would thought it was contagious. Kids won't even shake my hand. Kids won't even play tag with me. They just thought I was like some boogeyman. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Kids were like, wow. But it's it's not life threatening. It's just something with the autoimmune, and I'm only human. No one's perfect, but I learned how to love myself at an early age.
Not wanting to put makeup on, was that more because you loved yourself already, or was that just, I don't want to wear makeup because that's not?
Well, first of all, I thought it was not cool putting makeup on, being somebody that I wasn't really. And then growing up, my mother taught me how to love myself no matter what, inside and out. And at an early age, being teased at an early age. Like I said, I have diagnosed with vitiligo at the age of 18 months. I started school like around 5 years old, and going to school, hearing all these mean names and bullying, and I had to tap into my own self. My mother used to always tell me, "You're beautiful no matter what," and just let it radiate. And I didn't know what that meant because, like, Mom, like, what are you telling me? Are you telling me the truth? Because kids at schools is calling me different names. So what I learned how to do is look in the mirror at the age of like 7 to 8, and I would say things like to myself the opposite what kids would say to me, like, "Oh, kids would call me cow face. I'm not a cow." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or kids would say, "Who erased the other side of your face?" I would say it in the mirror. No, nothing wrong with my face. And I think by doing that daily kind of boosts my confidence
Right, it
at an
built the
early age.
confidence,
Yeah,
yeah.
boost my confidence. Just really kind of looking at my reflection and just looking at myself and like, listen, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
So I think at an early age, I learned how to embrace vitiligo.
That's amazing, though. So you basically created it was your own norm. By looking in the mirror every single day, I feel like some people would almost go the opposite route and be like, "Oh, I don't want to look in the mirror because I'm being bullied." So what you did, what Mom did, was created, the confidence at a very early age, which is great. So clearly, the bullying was something that you dealt with. Take us now through, where you grew up and that lifestyle, I guess, from middle school and into high school.
Well, for me, growing up, like I said, I grew up in a small city in Westchester County, and for me growing up, it was difficult because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be liked, and I was different my entire childhood. And I started hanging out with some friends that was, selling drugs, and I thought, wow, they're making fast money. They cool kids on the block. I want to do the same thing, and I started doing it. I started mimicking off what my friends started doing. I started participating, and it caught up to me, And then I got a cool name. They started calling me Half, And it was just like, wow, I'm a part of the crew. I did anything to fit in. And, the amount of drugs I started selling in the street corner got me placed in juvie for a while.
What age was that, James?
That had to be like 12 or 13.
Wow.
12 or 13, and, I remember going through the family court system, getting the rain and, getting placed on probation for 3 years. And I'm telling myself, like, wow, this is like a life lesson. But, you thought I would have learned from that. Didn't. Went back to my same community.
Yeah.
Started doing the same thing over.
So now from what I'm hearing is that confidence that you had as a young boy, that was an internal thing in the home. But then when you stepped outside, you saw that, selling drugs and making that quick buck kept you kind of relevant and cool to fit in. Is that
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought just by selling drugs, fitting in, having swag, having certain kind of clothes, having Jordans every time they came out, that's going to give me that attraction, and people was going to accept me for who I am. They were like, yo, that dude's cool, man. That dude's making a lot of money. But, like I said,
that name Half too.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of sounds like a cool thing.
Yeah.
Sitting back and just hearing it sounds like something that you took that clearly visually everybody can see that. Mm-hmm. So now they made it a cool thing, which probably added to you now saying, all right, like this.
Yeah, it boosted my confidence like 10 times out of the roof. I'm like, wow, everybody's calling me Half, and they had a little saying like girls would say, "Baby, who that be?" "Oh, that's just Half, man." So it just kind of was like,
wow.
So it was just like,
saying for me,
right.
So it was like crazy. So I was just like, making money, not even knowing at an early age. My mother did the best she can do as a parent. Like, you don't need to be on the street. You need to be doing the right thing in life. She always gave me that word of wisdom. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time my mom actually. I was just running out of so out of control that she actually started like a march for kids at troubled youth, doing a march for kids and like trying to take kids off the street and do the right thing. Wow. And I remember me and my brother being a part of that march, and I got a lot out of that march, but we supported my mother, but went back to the same street corner.
Yeah.
Do
you think and this is going off a little topic here, but do you think if you went back to a different system or a different lifestyle that you would have used all of your energy and all of your wanting to be accepted for something positive if the opportunity was there?
From an earlier age.
Yeah, like when you were younger.
I think, I think if, I'm not going to point fingers at anyone. I think if my father was more available and not going to do what he was going to do, and I had someone there to really teach me sports or just teach me how to ride a bike or just more importantly, teach me how to be a decent human being or how become a man, a young man and show responsibilities and value, but just growing up the way I did, it would just happen so fast. And like my mother was dealing with me because I had vitiligo and I struggled with that and it messed up my, I had a learning disability, messed up my education, and then not having my father available to, to participate, to help out as a parent, it was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? So I think I was just all over the place and just pretty much distracted. But I think if he was there, I think life probably would have turned out, would have probably been a little bit different. But I think we all have struggles and we go through things in life
For a reason, right?
For a reason.
Yeah.
So I don't look at it as faulting anyone, but I think I went through this for a reason. And I
Yep.
think that was just my tests and my challenges that I went through, and a little bit my hardships, and pull myself out of that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Ed Milet, he always says life happens for you, not to you, whether it's bad or
pretty
it's
good.
good. So everything that's kind of happened, it didn't happen to you. It happened for you for a bigger reason. And I think your story plays right into that. In terms of, becoming a young man, did you, and your father not being around, I see it in my line of work now, how important, community programs are and being active in your community. Did you have anything to kind of steer you in the right direction, or were you just so influenced by the guys, who were on the street, but they kind of took care of you because you were bringing back money to them, and then you saw that, wow, these are the guys that are actually taking care of me versus, partaking in any programs and stuff?
Well, I wouldn't say nobody really took care of me. I was kind of like, how I started in the game. I got a wholesale. You know what I'm saying? I went to someone and said, listen, I need a wholesale. And the wholesale was just basically like, yo, get on your feet. So it was basically like I was on my feet doing my own thing at an early age. And really, yes.
15, how old are you?
I was probably like 12 or 13, really like ripping and running the streets. But we in every community or any city community, we have a community center where we all can go to and meet friends and get off the street. And you have these programs. I had that too. But my thing was like, listen, I can do both. I could be cool in the community center and play ball because I played a lot of ball. I played in a lot of CYO tournaments, was very athletic. Just never took full advantage of it. I never had no one pushing me to play sports.
Gotcha.
But I could say one thing. I had one coach, and I played CYO for 1 year. And I had this one coach, and he was like, dude, like, you're a beast, and we're going to get you to the next level. And I remember we was in the lowest division. We was like Division D. And I played 1 year because my cousins convinced me to go play on the team with them. And the next following year, we shot all the way to Division B in CYO. So that was a huge deal. And the second year, I just kind of gave up. And I remember this one coach, his name was Ray. I don't remember his last name. He'll come on to my city and come look for me on the streets because I was missing practices. I was too busy on hugging the block and being on the corner.
I'm pretty sure I know Ray.
It's a pretty good coach.
I'm serious. What does he look like?
He's a tall white dude.
So I don't know if he just retired actually from Peekskill because he worked for the city for a really long time. So that's very interesting that you say that. Yeah. But he was always involved in Westchester basketball. So that is so funny that you mentioned Ray because I know who that is.
You must have been pretty good for him to come out and look for you. No one ever came out and looked for me.
Well, I played
all basketball.
But it was interesting because we didn't practice in Peekskill. We practiced in Camp Smith.
Okay.
Yeah. So our home games was at Henry Hudson.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it was crazy. It was a good time. I played with my cousin. I played with a few friends of mine, and it was great. But I wasn't motivated. I wasn't motivated to play basketball. I didn't have like that push, that hunger, shooting hoops. But as a kid, me and my brother would, he would be like Penny Hardaway, and I would be Scottie Pippen from the Bulls, and we'd go to the middle school and shoot hoops and play ball and have fun with it. But just never took it that real route, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Took it seriously,
It's got to be hard, too, because there's no results coming from it, whereas if you do something else in the street, you're going to get immediate results and gratification and all that other good stuff. So
I could say one thing. I took one thing from my father. My father was always into music. He was a DJ. He made a record. And as a kid, I was fascinated by doing DJing. So I had my little quick burst of being a DJ for a little while in my teenager years. And I started DJing. I already had the name Half, so I applied DJ Half to it, and kind of gave me a little bit more hype because I was doing all the high school parties, all the middle school parties. I was doing all the little dance. I was getting all the little private parties in the community or outside the community next town's over, and it just gave me that more swagger to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then I just kind of got just kind of lost the feel for it a little bit and got out of it. Still was selling drugs. This time I violated my probation, and then I was placed in juvie for like 2 years this time.
Okay, so now we're jumping into high school, and you had the first offense, and you were kind of doing the right thing at some points, but then ultimately chose to go back to that lifestyle. So now we're in the high school years. You had already, I think you mentioned it quickly just now, but you said that you had a learning disability in school. Is that correct?
Right. That developed a lot. I think I was just they said, hey, let's put him in special ed. You know, I had the condition, I had vitiligo, I mentioned, and I think when I was in kindergarten, kids, like a big, like 40 kids in one class, kids would always just look, stare. Kids would notice, you know, kids didn't know better, and you know, make fun of me or just cry or tease. So I think they put me in a smaller group setting. So they classified me as put me in special ed. So I think by going into special ed with a smaller group of kids versus 40 going to like group of 7 kids. Right. I just think, and you know, a lot of people have different challenges as far as just not just having learning disabilities, people was mental disturbed or disabled and whatever. But I think I just kind of like got no attention, just got taught whatever they was getting taught.
Did you like school? Did you like academics? Did you like reading or anything like that?
I never got a chance to really learn. I think I just never got a chance to learn. I never got to really like enjoy school. I always acted out. For some reason, I wanted attention. For some reason, every single day I went to school, I wanted attention. It got to the point, man, my mother told the principal at one time at elementary, listen, if he act up, you can check him. Wow. You know what I'm saying? It got to that point, you know, and my mom got sick or tired of coming into school and like picking me up. And there was one time, you know, maybe when I transferred different elementary schools, and there was one time when I went to a different elementary school, I kind of enjoyed school a little bit, but it was never really for me. I don't, you know, I'm not, you know, it's not really for me. But as I got older, education is very important.
Oh, of course,
it's definitely very important.
I mean, we'll get there. Right. You know, the whole story is going to flip. Right, so take us through the, you know, through the high school years and what that looked like for you.
Well, high school years for me, when I got released from juvie after doing 2 years, I had another opportunity to go back to the high school. You know, transitioning back to the high school was just wow. You know, they placed me back into 10th grade. You know, and I gave high school about 6 months. Work was too hard, very challenging for me. I just gave up.
Never went back.
I never went back. Wow. And I had teachers that was willing to help me, man. I had resource rooms. I had like, you know, where you take your test and you want to, you know, just to, you know, help people learn a little bit better. I had the opportunities, you know, to actually like graduate high school, but I just gave up within 6 months, and I was like, this is not for me. I went back to my same community to sell drugs, you know, and did what I did, you know.
Did any teachers try to follow you or try to come get you, or was it once you're outside the school walls, it's kind of?
Nah, not really. You know, you had teachers just like, you know, gave up. You know, I just gave up.
I bet you they almost understood in a way.
Yeah.
You know, in a weird way, they probably thought like, okay, maybe James went on to a different school or something like that, or he transferred out.
Well, they didn't set him up for success. If you throw someone in special ed and they're not,
well, everything
then
was
by the
thrown.
time you get to high school, it's like
everything was against you.
Right. Well, to go back a little bit, not to get off subject, but like, you know, prior to going to juvie, prior to getting arrested, you know, I got kicked out of middle school. I was placed in alternative school before I got, you know, incarcerated to go to juvie. And then I was actually, from alternative school, I was so terrible in alternative school, they sent me to a residential center, which is in Children's Village.
Wow, okay.
I stayed in Children's Village, and my mother, you know, I was so out of control. My mother put me actually on a PENS petition.
Okay.
And a PENS petition, which you go through the family court, you can't get in trouble for 90 days. If I get in trouble for 90 days, then they place me to the system, the juvenile detention.
And your mom had to sign off on this?
She had to sign off on it. So that's how bad I was. Right. And once I turned a certain age, I just left Children's Village, you know, and then the whole transition going to juvie and then getting another opportunity to go back to high school was just like boom. Like,
well, it's amazing hearing your struggles, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but hearing your struggles and knowing kind of the end game and seeing how everything connects and why, you know, you are who you are today. So it's going to be interesting to hear the second half.
It is.
But there's a famous speech. I don't know if you ever heard. Steve Jobs did a commencement speech or a graduation speech. And it basically, the whole point of it is you don't know that, you know, what the dots mean when you look forward, but when you look back, they all connect.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's kind of a good way to look at life. And so.
That's a great way to look at it.
Absolutely.
So, James, was there a moment, though, that this kind of all came to a head to where, you know, you clearly school wasn't for you, you didn't like the education, you were involved in selling drugs. Was there a big moment where, like, you saw your whole life kind of crash in front of you?
Well, I never really seen my life crashing. I just didn't know how to stop, you know. But I seen that, you know, I was giving up, and I was, you know, at the same time I was being weak, and I didn't really want anything out of life, you know. And it got to the point my mother told me I can't live in the house unless I get a job or I'm going back to school. I left home. You know, I left home. I had an older girlfriend. I had to be like 16. She was like 25.
Wow.
I stayed in the projects with her for a long time. Till my mother got tired of that, came down in the projects with a baseball bat and like, listen, you got to get up out of here.
Wow.
But yeah.
Baseball bat.
Yeah,
Mom's the
yeah.
real
Mom was like,
deal.
"Yo, listen, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, gotta get your life together."
Do you remember
But
what kind of bat it was? Wood?
It
Aluminum?
might have been wooden. I think it was wooden. I think it was wooden. It might have been metal. I don't know. It might have been metal.
Someone comes at me with a bat.
Doesn't matter, I'm
I'll
running
tell you
so
what
far away.
style that bat was.
But you know, it was just like it was that, you know, in them little moments. But I remember running away from home, doing a lot of crazy things. But you know, like to go back, you know, when I gave up out of high school, I'm like, wow, there was really like nothing else to do but go back to the community and make money. You know what I'm saying? So I went back to do what I did, but I did it on a higher scale.
Yep.
I had to support myself. I'm out on my own.
And you were being successful in that world.
Right.
Correct?
Definitely.
You kept
Yeah,
moving
yeah,
up
yeah,
and
yeah.
moving up and moving up.
Yeah, I kept, you know, reading up high, getting larger scale of quantity of, you know, narcotics and, you know, going on a bigger scale, selling drugs in my community, outside of my community, and, you know, just.
Not to interrupt you, but when you were doing that, did you ever have the thought of like, wow, I'm really doing well here. What if I did it like legitimately? What if I
I thought
did the
about
straight
it.
and narrow?
I thought about it. You know, I had homeboys that went legitimate, but
Yeah.
still doing it at the same time. Never had one
not
hand in the
fully.
pot, but one hand on the business, barbershops, car wash, all crazy stuff.
Because you have all this money, right?
Right,
And then
right.
what do you do with all the money? Because you can't. I mean, you could
Right.
reinvest it in
Right.
that, but it's really
I'll be honest with you, man. I was young. I was wild. I was
Just using
reckless,
it.
man. I bought cars. I bought jewelry. I bought, you know, anything that was fascinating. I would party 7 days a week. You know, I dated anyone I wanted to because I was in that world. You know, I had the money.
yeah. And you see
know.
these celebrities that like get very famous very quick, and they get $100 million. If I got $100 million when I was 16, there'd be way worse than what is going in the news now, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of have the visual of you at that age with all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's interesting though because there's still skill, and again, you know, we're not condoning
No.
anything like that, but there are skills that relate to business, you know. So you could
Yeah,
tell that you were
Jay-Z.
so you could tell that you were very driven, and maybe it was this business route, which then ultimately leads us, you know, to where we're gonna go.
It's funny you say that because I had one guy I met in the Bronx because I moved to the city, and this one guy, he was in the rap industry, and he was like, he see me at all these parties, at all these nightclubs, like, dude, like the crew you hanging out with, because I didn't really hang out with people from my neighborhood no more. 'Cause I was like driving Bentleys, S550s, and everything else. So I started doing my own thing. I moved to the city, and this guy was like, yo, dude, the money you spend in the nightclub, Cristal, Dom Perignon, dude, you can invest into something. So I remember one day he took me, he said, yo, listen, I'm going to meet up with you. And we went to the bank. He said, what do you want to do? I always wanted to do like party promotion because I was always into DJing. So I started a company, was Half Entertainment at the time, but it wasn't no LLC. LLC was really unheard of. You still had S Corps, C Corps, but I did a DBA, do business as. And I went to the bank. He showed me how to do it, and I had my entertainment company. I started doing parties here and there, but I was never too serious with it. But someone did pull me to the side. Listen, you should start investing your money wisely into things like, you know, you can actually make money off her and get out the game, you know?
Because the reason I ask is a part of the thing I think of is a lot of people don't know the vehicle
Right.
to their success, and they're just looking for something to throw their energy in.
Right.
And if they don't find it, sometimes they fall into something
Right.
that's not great for them.
Right.
Whether it's, you know, your situation or just something else where it's just a job they dislike.
Right.
So it's like if you don't know your vehicle, it's hard to get to the end game.
It's hard. It's just tempting. But when you want to give up and quit and say, listen, this is not for me no more. I made enough money. I want out. It's hard to get out, man.
I wonder if someone
it's
taught
hard
you
to
real
get out,
estate.
man. There's so much money
Yeah.
coming in. It's just hard to get out. I thought about real
I
estate.
wonder if someone taught you like where you'd be.
But
I mean, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
Don't get
yeah,
me wrong.
yeah.
But if like you had that work ethic and someone
Yeah,
grabbed you and said,
yeah.
"Listen, you're living with me. You have to go work on these properties. You knock on
Right,
these doors,
right.
set this network, and we're gonna build an empire."
Right.
You know,
But that's you know what? Do I think about it, that lifestyle being like a drug dealer? That like owning a barbershop, owning a car wash, owning tons of real estate. That's always the bigger the bigger picture and the bigger goal.
Yeah.
I thought about real estate at
Yeah,
one
yeah.
time, but I'm like, yo, listen, I don't even have a high school diploma. How am I
Yeah.
gonna go pass an exam? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
was the thing. So you self-doubt yourself.
Yep.
You took your way out of that. You're like, you know what? I have enough money to go put down money on a condo or a
Yeah, you
townhouse
buy
or a
cash.
house.
You don't need.
You know what I'm saying? So that was the thing. Like, you know, I can drive anything I want. So I think I was so much fascinated by my lifestyle to the point where it's like, wow, this is what it is.
You got
know what I'm
swept up
saying?
in it. Yeah.
And to the point where it's like, one day it just everything was over. You know what I'm saying? My life changed. Everything was over. I had a big investigation pending on me. The feds came knocking on my door.
So is that ultimately how you got out of?
Yeah.
My next question was going to be,
Yeah.
how did you get out of the game?
Yeah. The feds came knocking on my door. I was under investigation.
So they were following you for
they surveilled me
for
for about 18 to 24 months.
And you were
Wow.
aware that they were surveilling you?
I wasn't aware of, because I got to the point in life where I just was not even pitching no more. I was playing Nextel tag with someone else that was doing all the steering for me. Like, yo, go here, go there. And was just selling to undercover, not knowing. And that's how the investigation kind of built up. And, I remember them knocking on my door. I lived in the city at the time, and they kicked down the door. And that was it. Lights out.
Was there any emotion that you can, looking back on this now, the initial feeling that you felt? Were you were home when they came in?
Yeah, I was
Was
home.
there, like, what was the emotion? I literally got chills when you said that they busted through your door just
Yeah, I'm
because.
getting
What was the
nervous
chills?
just
At the
listening.
time, I had my girlfriend, and then her daughter was there at the same time, and it was just like, wow, like, they kicked down the doors. It was like a little bit like, wow, I wish they wasn't there.
Yeah.
They came in, like I said, they investigated me for 18 to 24 months. It was the feds. Then it was a part of a joint task force. So you had Peekskill Police, and then you had NYSPD.
So there was no shot of escaping this thing.
No, it was no
this
shot.
was- this
They
was
needed
just-
the jurisdiction. The case happened out of Westchester, but they needed the jurisdiction to break state lines. So that's
Gotcha.
why they got the NYSPD involved, and then they had the feds come eventually pick up the case. But
Right.
they joint task force. For
And
me,
what age was this, James?
I had to be. I think I was 19, 20 when that happened.
I get worried when a policeman pulls out behind me while I'm driving.
Yeah, that
Forget
feeling
about
like
that
your
situation.
heart like drops.
Like just hearing
So
the
you can
story,
only
my heart's
imagine.
dropping.
It's funny. The day before I got arrested, I felt like some car was following. It was like an X5 just following me. I'm like, why this car's following me? I was at a spot I usually go down on Broadway. It was called Floaty Miles, and I'm like at Floaty Miles having a dinner with my girlfriend. And then when we get out of there, she said, hey, well, let me get my nails done. When get the nails done, and it was this car just telling around the block. And then I got a phone call from one of my connects. She's like, yo, can you come see me today? I went to go see him, and it's way uptown, Gun Hill, and the same car following. I'm like, yo, what's going on? And then like the next day, it's just like,
So it probably was that car that was
5,
following
6
you.
in the morning, I get my door busted down. Like, holy shit.
Wow.
This is real, And that kind of was like my eye opener, man.
Yeah.
That was like my eye opener. I was like, it's over. I'm like, it's over. Like, I had a run. I had like a 10-year run. I mean,
thought
I
that
got in trouble
internally?
when I was, yeah.
Yeah, internally you were like,
I
this
got in
is
trouble
it?
when I was younger, but it was like everything got sealed as a juvenile. Juvenile youth offender was
Yeah.
it's called a YO, so everything was sealed, and I had a long run, and it was like, oh, it's over. And I knew this was over. The stuff that they confiscated, I just knew the cash they took, the jury they took, the cars that they seized. Like, it's over. Like, and the funny thing about, like, prior to that, a month ago, prior to getting arrested, I was like, I want to get out. But I just didn't know how to get out.
You were looking for maybe
I just didn't know
subconsciously
how
or-
to get out. I just didn't know how to go out because you're just making so much money. You join a lifestyle, and then I'm dating women that's just like, why would you give all this up? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like,
Yeah, the farther
and
in you get, the harder it is to get yourself
And the thing
out.
is, I was taking care of like my family and everything else. Nobody questioned me like where the money was coming from. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like I went from like just being someone that was being very supportive for the family. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, wow, like how can I get this up?
Not that this would have changed the outcome of it, but when you just said, there was something telling me this, I'm thinking back to Epi 1 when I had said I'm going to stop snoozing on this voice that's in my head, right? And I feel like we all have these little moments, whether it's a spiritual moment with God. We're not going to get into anybody's personal religion or, your faith. But I think it's interesting that people that you speak to in terms of their adversity and their struggles, always, whether I'm reading the story or I'm hearing the story, they say there was something that was telling me. There's something that was telling me. So I think there's a lesson for people. When you start hearing that voice, start to follow it a little bit more, whether it's on a big scale or a small scale. So that's just interesting that you said that.
I think it was hard for me. I definitely want to listen to my self-conscious.
But the rewards were too good.
Right. It was rewards too good. And then the people I surrounded myself with, like, dude, they was getting money. I was getting money. We was always like, it was just like nobody in the crew or anybody was hanging out was like, yo, you gonna get out for real, fam? Like, you crazy?
It's a
half,
lifestyle.
like, yeah, it's like, yo, dude, they just give you more momentum to go pop more bottles, go get a better whip, go get a bigger jewelry, you know what I'm saying? Bigger bracelet,
So I think
or
that's
bigger
an
watch. It's just
extreme-
like, yo, listen, I'm not surrounding myself with nobody that's really not in the game. Everybody I'm surrounding myself is in the game.
Yeah.
It's in the game.
Yeah.
So it's just like, wow, how can I ever get out of this? And at the same time, I wanted to get out.
I think your situation is like an extreme version of a lot of things people deal with, that their voice in their head's telling them they want to do something different or make a change, but they're so into their lifestyle and all their liabilities and everything they have going on that they can't make the move. Where in the long term they'd be much happier and safer and whatever it is. But it's an extreme version of it. But I feel like a lot of people deal with your situation, just not as crazy of a situation.
Right.
That's a good point.
It's funny you guys say that too, but at the end of the day, like, I think by getting incarcerated
Best
saved
thing.
my life. Best
Yeah.
thing that ever happened to me. People say, yo, are you serious? Yeah, that's the best thing that ever happened to me, because it slowed me down. It made me realize, because I was moving 100 miles per hour
Yeah.
And at such a young age.
at a young age.
How long were you incarcerated for total?
So total, I was incarcerated for 8 years.
And this is now federal prison.
It was state and federal.
Okay, so what is the difference between jail and prison?
Good question.
So the county jail is just a lockup detention center. Like, you could be placed up to county jail for 2 years on a sentence, or you could be pending on a case for, till you go to trial or whatever. That you could stay in the county jail for like 6-7 years. I've seen people stay there 7 years the most.
Okay.
For I only stayed there 18 months fighting my case. And then going to prison is like, you locked up, you sentenced. This is where you're gonna be out for now. And it depends. Like, you can get transferred during that process too as well. But yeah, I was, basically I was fighting my case, and
So mentally you were like, I'm done with that life. Now you were like, I need to get out of here. I'm going to start fighting my case. That was the
I told myself I'm not going back. And and then the thing, you run to people in county jail like, yo, Half, what's up? Like, you still like got that name. People like, yo, fam, you got locked up. Yo, wow.
Yeah.
People want to get in your business. People want to know what's going on. Like, are you gonna go back out there and do the same thing? Like, what happened to all your cars? Like, you meet people that's doing skid bids or coming in 6 month, probation violation. And I had this name down. Everyone,
and a distinct feature. It's hard to lay low when you're,
And a lot of people knew me out throughout Westchester. So people like, everyone like, yo, that's the man. That's Half. Yo, Half got locked up. So it was like a big So I was still trying to kind of like disguise and trying to live up to that name still while I was in jail. But and deep inside, I'm like, yo, this is not what I want to do, man. Yeah. And then I think I kind of changed within my first year being in the county, going back and forth, fighting my case. And the conversation I would have with like people that would come in from the neighborhood or people from outside the neighborhood, they're like, yo, are you for real? Like, why you want to change your lifestyle? Why you want to go back? And they didn't believe in my vision. I said, I'm going to go home and do something great with myself. I'm going to turn it around. And they didn't even believe that.
That's amazing.
They didn't even believe that, and then, like, the conversation was just like too weird for them. They didn't even want to have a conversation with me anymore. If it was a drug related or street related or anything to do with any gossip, and I think I started transitioning into a different person.
Did you know what you wanted to do?
Not the point. I wanted to go back into the entertainment business. I definitely wanted to start Half Entertainment, get it going. I remember talking about that once I got sentenced and I went to a federal facility. I was in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. That's where I got placed at, and I got there and I met a couple of like-minded people, that had 15 years, had 10 years coming off these type of bids and had some ambitions to do some real big things out in the world.
So you just said like-minded people, and I want to go there because I think I know the answer to this question. But before you were saying, everybody that you were hanging around was doing the same exact thing,
right?
And you are the, whatever percentage it is, but you are who you hang around,
right?
Were those guys ever there for you when you were then behind bars?
Oh, nah, man. Everything changed, man. You lose girls, you lose friends. The only close people that was around me were just my mother, my sister, and close family.
Yep. So everybody who was
disappeared.
thriving off of that lifestyle is now ghosts. So that's a big lesson for people, especially the younger people who listen to this. I know we have a couple high school followers. They've reached out to us. But that is a major takeaway. Hang around people who are doing the things that you want to do and that you want to live by those same codes.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the influence, the positive influence now that you saw and you kind of lived in prison.
Well, when I got to Lewisburg, it was like a different ball game. I got there and I'm like, wow, I'm going to change my lifestyle, what I want to do in life. And I had a different perspective because there were so many things. First of all, I had to go in there and if I didn't have a GED, I had to go to school to get a GED. And if you did have a GED, you have to work. You have to do some type of labor work on a facility. Didn't have my GED, wasn't looking to get my GED. I end up getting a job. I end up becoming yard detail. So I clean up around the yard. I go to different units, take away the garbage and stuff like that, do my thing doing that. And then during the day, I go to GED. I didn't get my GED in there, but they had so many different classes, man. They had how to repair credit, how to do stocks. It was just, if you wanted to go to college, they put you to Ohio State University. Like, you know, if you
That's
had
really
your
good to
GED.
hear.
It was, I mean, I tell people all the time when I do have these conversations, jail do rehabilitate you, man. If you really be open minded enough to get ahead in life and do the right thing for yourself. But I kept telling myself I was tired of being weak and I was tired of being like alone. And I felt alone when I was making money at the same time. I wasn't very happy. And I'm like, I got to do something better with my life.
Wow.
So I took advantage of what they had there. I actually met one of my best friends, my mentor, in federal prison. You know, he was a guy, was a blue collar crime guy. He had a mortgage company, over 80 different branches. You know, he built a $20 million business just by himself, but he had to build a team. He would tell me stories about when he was out there and had these mortgage companies and how well he was doing for himself, and his nephew turned him in. You know, he fired his nephew. His nephew turned him into the IRS because his nephew did his books for him, and that was like kind of setback for him. But his crime wasn't really that serious. It was like tax evasion. I think he got a year for that. But we became really best friends, kept in contact, and he kind of like schooled me, gave me a lot of like mentor advice. Like, dude, like, listen, you got a lot of potential. You got great energy. You know, so to happen, you know, me and my mentor built a really great bond because I remember one day being on a compound and like, yo, dude, it's my birthday. He said, get out of here. It's my birthday. So even built a bigger connection.
Wow.
And he used to DJ when he was like living in Pennsylvania and he's going to school in Poconos to hustle extra money. So we had a lot in common. But this guy was like very determined. Very
Was he
motivated,
older than you?
Very older. He's like Rick. His name is Rick Harsh. Rick, yeah, he had to be like in his 40s when he came to Lewisburg.
Are you guys still in touch today?
Oh, every day we talk.
Oh,
man.
that's
we
amazing.
Talk every day, man. And he came back home, build back up his success, brought his old mansion back, got 2 Falcon planes. His clients is Johnson & Johnson, Thurman Thomas, and this guy just, you know, it's incredible, man. I get a lot of my inspiration, my motivation from that guy. I text him every single day. He has 3 karate schools in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Amazing stuff,
Yeah.
man. I like hearing that.
So that's, you know.
Yeah, were you able to now, and this is kind of jumping a little bit forward. So now let's move out of the prison system. Knowing you know, I've known you for about 8 to 10 years now through Marky Carter, right? So shout out Mark. But we've gotten close. So I know this about you now. You're a successful trainer, and you're also a successful author. Did you find passion, you know, when you were behind bars for both fitness and then writing?
I think when I came home, I'll be honest with you, when I got released from federal prison, I didn't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
You know, I was a convicted felon, you know, especially being a high school dropout, had no skills in trade. I didn't know what I want to do with my life. And that's when I really kind of like started self-doubting myself. I'm like, yo, I came too far and, you know, build up, you know, my confidence and my courage to go back out in the community and do the right thing. So I told myself I'm giving myself a second chance and do the right thing. But, you know, I kind of like, you know, was always like someone that visualized and like very animated. And I never thought about being an author, but I thought about writing my life story at one time. And personal training came into part because in Lewisburg, they had a ghost gym in there. And I would work out every single day with Rick. And that's how I got involved with working out. I was never big into training myself because I was overweight. I was 215 pounds. I lived a destructive lifestyle most of my life prior to like when I started dealing drugs. You know, that became alcohol, liquor, not taking care of myself, so let the weight gain. Tried to go to the gym back and forth, didn't happen in the world. But when I got into federal prison, I started running. I started working out every single day, and my body just started to change, and I felt more confident. And I remember at the same time in federal prison, they was offering personal trainer certifications. And you get a discount, especially if you was with the government. Mm-hmm. I didn't take it there, but a lot of dudes were taking personal trainer certification, spin instructor certification. They had all that there. When I got back out into the world, I actually had a friend that was killing it down in 43rd and 3rd Avenue at New York Sports Club. He was doing like 190 sessions a month, and he just came home. He kind of gave me inspiration, and he actually got his certification. He said, dude, here's some money. Get your certification to become a trainer. I got you. So I was like, I sat on it for like 6-7 months. Didn't really want to take the test. Took the money, bought the certification. I actually purchased my first certification. I actually started digging into it. I actually passed it. Didn't do nothing with it. I got released from federal prison in 2012. I passed the test 2013. I didn't really do nothing with the certification till 2015.
Wow.
I decided to say, you know what? I'm gonna go into the personal training field. I worked at a small gym in Rye, in Westchester County, called Personal Trainer, Rye Brook Personal Trainer. I worked there for about 6-7 months, and then I left there because wasn't growing, wasn't really learning anything, and I ended up going to the New York Sports Club, in another gym in Westchester, and did really well there. Became very successful. Started doing about 150 sessions a month there.
What's like an average amount of sessions for like a trainer? So we get a little context.
I mean, the gym I was at in Dobbs Ferry, there was the top trainer doing 320 sessions a month. So
wow.
And that was like too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started telling myself, I've been there for about 2 years, and I'm like, wow, man, I can do my own thing. And then I was in the process where I was going to open up my own gym. And then and then I started doing like motivational talks everywhere. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start writing books. Which Dave actually got me into motivational speaking because he invited me to his workspace and said, listen, there's a group of young kids that can use your message.
That was your first talk?
That was my first talk.
Wow.
And I'm like, Dave, man, I don't know, man. He said, James, man, you got a great story. I'm like, I don't know, man. I remember coming to Dave, like, with a 6-page letter. He's like, dude, man.
Yeah, he convinces me to do stuff all the time.
I said, dude, he said, this is not what it is. But Dave kind of got me comfortable doing that. And
Nice.
I'm like, you know what? And I went there, and it went really well with me and another speaker. The other speaker that was supposed to come didn't show up, so just spotlight was just me and on one of his other close friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did my thing. His friend did his thing, and it was like I just felt connected with
Felt
these
right?
kids. Yeah, I felt connected with the whole thing. It was like, wow.
Were you nervous before that first?
Yeah,
talk?
I definitely was
Little
nervous.
bit,
Man. I was a
yeah.
little nervous, and then I got comfortable with David. It's like, always say, yo, it's laid back, it's chill, fam. Like, he always give me that. So
Just tell your. I always told him, just
tell
tell
your
your
story.
story.
Amazing
Nobody
story.
can write your story.
Yep.
You
Be
know,
you.
just be
yeah,
you.
But Dave actually got me into that, the motivational speaking, and and I never thought about just going around telling my message. I never thought about that bigger picture. And then next week, I get a call from Yonkers District, like, dude, we need you to come speak. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, whoa.
It's amazing how
so
that
I came to
happens.
Dave and like, yo, Dave, you know what? I just did this talk. I got Yonkers reaching out to me, so I did that. And then after that, it's just been a game changer.
Yeah.
But the one thing I said, you know what? I was going back into the community and talking about overcoming adversities, and I'm like, you know what? I need to touch the little ones because I have a story where I can actually help the little ones too as well, about being bullied, about acceptance and exclusion. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a children's book. And that's how the children's book got into play, because I'm like, you know what? Let me talk about my personal experience and communicate it in a way where kids can get it. And
Well, you wrote the book you wanted when
Right.
you were a kid, right?
Right.
So it's full circle.
Right.
You were writing a book that if you were a little kid and you had that book,
Right.
you might be a different person. But
Well-
you turned out great, but you get what I'm saying.
But the thing is, I wrote the book as being like a kids lit, but not like awareness book. I'm like, whoa! I started doing more and more presentation. The book became more and more popular as awareness. Like, we need you to do assemblies or a session or workshops on this book. So then it just became like, wow, we need that boy behind the face into our school. So now what I'm doing now with the book, that's why I wrote the book, The Boy Behind the Face, just being different, personal experience, but it's truly teaching kids and adults how to truly be their best self, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I want to teach. You know, that's my whole mission in life, is teaching people how to be their best self, no matter where you come from, no matter what adversities you had, hardships or anything in life. You know, we all go through something. We all have struggles, but our stories might be different, but we can relate.
Yep.
In all one way. So that's another side that I tapped into, is just telling my personal story about being different, you know.
James, I want to highlight, and this is amazing stuff. Thank you so much for sharing it. I'm looking at Mike's face kind of when he's hearing it.
A little mind blown, yeah.
No, it is. And I just want to take people, though, through the process. So when you explain the story, I'm hearing it, though, and it was very strategic when you look back at it. So take it back to the gym now. You first got into a small private gym,
Right.
So you learned the ins and outs of that. Then you
Well,
said,
not a private gym, a big box gym, you know.
no. Before,
Oh yeah, the private. I'm sorry.
right?
Sorry,
So,
Dave.
so
Rye
the fir-
one?
no, yeah. So
the
in Rye,
Rye Brook Personal Training Center. Yeah.
right. So that was a smaller scale gym.
Right.
So you learned the ins and outs of that, and you said, you know what? I think I can go a little bit bigger. Now, boom, you went to New York Sports Club, which is a big chain, and I firsthand witnessed what he was doing in there, and he was literally changing lives, but on a big scale. So now he saw that corporate side of things, and that sparked it to where he was like, you know what, I think I can do this on my own. Happened to not go that gym route, but took the process of learning both sides of it, and now you applied it into something where you're doing the writing and the motivational speaking.
Absolutely. And you know what? The reason why I went to the New York Sports Club and changed life and crushed it, because that small gym wasn't like the New York Sports Club. It was a private gym. You had to build your own business. You had to go out there and prospect. And what I had was personality, and I knew how to go out there and go get it, but I didn't know how to do the follow-up, the call drives and everything else. But I learned that from that small gym. And when I got to that big box gym and they had a larger audience, first of that, it was just no-brainer for me. Like, listen, I'm going to get everybody that's on the treadmill, elliptical, everybody on the floor to train with me, or I'm going to give them my personality and who I am and why I'm not training with this trainer. That's what I learned from that small box gym. You know, the ambition, going there driven, not, going there with my blinders, like, listen, I'm going in there like it's my last. I was hungry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how I went to that big box gym in New York Sports Club and crushed it the way I did and say, you know what? I can be doing this on my own.
Mike and I talk about this all the time, but I feel that life happens in 3 phases of you attacking things. First you're motivated, then you're inspired, and then you have the all-out drive. Since I've known you, that drive has just spoken for you. You speak that through your energy every single day. So I think it's important for people to understand that even on the days that you don't want to be doing those things, if you're applying it to your business, James was so successful because he was bringing his energy every single day. He took it upon himself to say, you know what? I'm leaving my personal stuff. I'm sure there were things that he was going through in his life. But every single day when he walked through those doors at 4:50 a.m., it was not just have a good day. James has the
best day. Had the best day every day. That's my new thing. Had the best day every day.
And it's
or the best day ever.
It is there's no in between with him. So he leaves all his personal stuff at home. And I think that's something valuable to take away for all of us, because I know we go to work. It's like, oh man, I'm going through X, Y, Z. And now instead of saying, good morning, how are you? It's just like, hey, how you doing?
Hey, that good morning, how are you goes a long way. And that's one thing I learned. But the thing is, Dave, it's not for me personally, it's not the motivation or I leave things at home. I don't want to go back to the disgusting moments that I've been through. I've been through a lot of challenges, a lot of hardships. And like, listen, the best way to get through it, I don't never want to go back to where I was at. So that's how I get ahead in life every single day. My accomplishments, I congratulate myself. I cherish the moment, then I move on like I never even earned a thing in my life. I just keep going. That's the thing, man. And I don't want to go back to where I was at.
How can you put out a message to somebody who may say, wow, you know what, I really like this story and I love what you guys are talking about on the No Snooze podcast and this whole community. But unfortunately, I haven't gone through adversities and struggle in my life in terms of my upbringing or something along those lines. What would be your message to push, the everyday Joe, the everyday Sally who has just grown up very typical?
Don't take life for granted.
That's a good one.
Don't take life for granted. Be much appreciated and show lots of gratitude on life, because just because you've never been through that, we don't know as human beings when adversities and hardships are going to hit us. So just because you've never been through it, it can happen.
Put challenges in front of yourself.
And every day try to shake things up in your life and keep getting after it, but don't never quit.
That's an amazing piece. And it's true. And it's different now coming from James, because when we speak on it, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's Mike and Dave. Your story is absolutely incredible compared to ours. Yeah. So I always talk about fitness, because that's a very easy way to put challenges in front of yourself. And David Goggins, there's this video that always just plays in my head, and he's running, and he's just like, you got to put challenges in front of yourself. Yeah. So for the everyday person who's out there who didn't grow up like that, and you are interested in doing more in your business, more in your relationships, more in anything in life, you have to put challenges in front of yourself. Right. And fitness is a very easy way to do that. Right. Just get up and start getting after it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jocko. Do you ever listen to Jocko Willink? Willink, I think his name is. Yep. He's the Navy SEALs dude. That
I know. I think I heard of Jocko.
Oh, you've definitely heard his stuff.
Yeah, I never heard.
But his like big theme is discipline equals freedom.
Right.
And I think the fitness is a good way to establish discipline, because it's very literal. It's like you either did your push-ups or you didn't do your push-ups.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I tried to grow my business, which growing business is great, but it's harder to quantify.
Right.
Whereas a rep, you can know if you did the rep.
It's
or
all
not.
about life. Is all about repetition. You know what I'm saying? Life is all about, you know, what you can do in that moment, right? So you just gave me the story like someone who never had challenging hardships, but it might be harder for them to go into the gym. What I tell people like that, just be more accepted, be more available, and become soft, you know, and be more open-minded to things. You know, most people like that don't be open-minded to things. They don't want challenges. They don't know how to shake things up in their life. They're just so used to doing what they used to doing.
Yeah.
So that might be a little bit of challenge for them. But just tell them to try something new every day, or just try something simple. You know.
Can you tell us a little bit about yoga? I've been trying to.
Oh, yeah.
I've been interested. Mike had a really funny story that he told about the yoga. But if you're not into fitness, I'm not a yogi person at all. What has yoga brought you? Because I know you like that term yogi, right?
I'm not a yogi. You're not a yogi person. I'm a movie guy.
I'm not a movie guy. I'm not a yogi. But I know, and it was always just interesting to me because you see this really, really fit guy. And I'm like, there's no way my man looks like that off of doing yoga. But anybody who you talk to who does partake in yoga, they have some amazing takeaways from it. And I think maybe that gratitude piece and getting in tune with your emotions. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Yoga, man. For me personally, I started yoga maybe about 6 years ago. And I didn't know nothing about yoga. I just wanted something that was going to challenge me. And I wanted to get away from the neighborhood, just getting out of prison. I started Kundalini. So I'll give you a little bit.
What is that?
Kundalini is a different.
Italian?
That sounds like
it's
like an uncle of mine.
Pasta?
It's a different type of
Kundalini
yoga.
Reg.
I didn't even know nothing about Kundalini, but I would travel to Nyack twice a week to do this Kundalini.
Is that a style of yoga, James?
So it's a spiritual
a
style.
pasta?
It's a spiritual style of yoga, but spiritual and physical. But it helps you with your breathing, and they call something the third eye. I did it for about a year. It wasn't really for me, and then I found Vinyasa, which is like a more flow, more flow, and setting your intentions on where you want to be in life, and just pushing through. I never looked at it as like, okay, I'm a guy, I'm doing yoga. I was this guy before doing yoga. I just did it. You just tried it.
You jumped right in.
I jumped right into it, and it changed my life. It changed my mental state of mind. It gave me a more of awareness about who I am and where I want to go with my life. But it kept me calm, and it changed the way I wanted to be in life. Like, it gave me a different vision. And it opened up so many doors for me. I challenged myself in so many different ways. And then from Vinyasa, I tried Bikram, which is just a different type of
I just watched
level
that
of yoga.
documentary too.
They call it hot yoga now.
Yeah.
Bikram's
well, they
on the
changed the
outs.
name Hot Yoga. I've been doing Bikram for a long time.
Did you see that documentary?
Yeah, before Bikram
You watched it?
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
did. I swear. I'm not a movie guy, Mike. I'm a documentary
Yeah,
Dave. Documentary Dave.
How it happened, but I was doing Bikram for a while, and it's very intense.
That's the hot, right?
Yeah, it's 107 degrees. It's 26 poses, and that's a different level, man. It took me a while to kind of like really get into Bikram, but one thing about Bikram, it got me my first media outlet from Channel 12 News.
Really?
I met Michelle Brown in Bikram yoga.
Wow.
Because at the time, a lot of professional athletes, the NFL players, were doing Bikram. You know, now you're starting to hear now about athletes doing yoga and stuff like that. But she came to me and said, "Yo, what team you play for?" I said, "Well, I don't play for any team. I'm just a guy who's doing speaking and personal training at the time, and I worked a crappy job." And she's like, "Wow, we want to do an interview on you. Let me see, can I do a story?" I said, "Better yet, I got a call from a school in the Bronx," and I called her up and I said, "Listen, I got a school in the Bronx. You want to come?" She said, "Sure." And that's how I got my first real media outlet from Bikram yoga.
See, I don't think I'm not going to be too spiritual here, but I don't think that just happens.
No.
Like that.
No, you set yourself up.
You know what I mean? You're doing things, you're taking actions, and then things are coming back to you by you doing that.
I think just being more open-minded and just challenging yourself and network leads to net worth. But so that's the thing. Like, you have to put yourself. You have to put yourself in.
I know I liked you.
You had to put yourself into in uncomfortable positions, but be open to different things. Like, so by me going to Bikram got me that media outlet.
Yeah.
That opened up so many other doors for me, because now I use that on my resume.
Right.
Like, you know, and then working with other people from that. But it challenged me. But now I just stick with Vinyasa. I do about 2 to 3 times a week. I love it, what it does for my body. You know, it gives me the flexibility, gives me the range of motion.
I need some yoga in my life.
It keeps me healthy. It keeps me healthy and young, man, and it keeps my body nice and toned. And I mean, once you start doing yoga, it's always going to be a different pose that's always going to challenge you.
Do you do it in the morning or at night? Do you have a
I
certain
prefer the
time?
morning. I
Morning?
prefer the morning, but if I can get in the night class, I do it. But
How long are the classes you take?
It's usually 45 minutes or an hour.
That's good.
But it's a simple flow. It's
Yeah.
a simple flow, really just setting attention on yourself and how you want your day or how you want your life to be. It's on you. It's your space.
And when you're in the class, are they like, think about something you want to do today, or do they talk
Depending
about
on the instructor. Every
depends on
instructor's
the
not good.
instructor?
I go to the top instructors that really giving you something that that you need to set your attentions on and why you should appreciate your life a little bit more and value the things that you have around you and really kind of connecting into your roots. And
Because I tried the meditation just by myself, and my mind runs way too much to do it by myself. But if someone's there, like in a yoga class, it's much easier.
I use for meditation, I use an app called Headspace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I tried it.
And I've been
Didn't work
using
for me.
Headspace for about 1.5 years now.
Yeah, I've
Before
heard
Headspace,
Headspace a
I was
lot.
just using, I was doing Kundalini, so that was more like the mental.
I don't mean to laugh. Every time you say Kundalini,
Yeah, but I was
I'm
doing,
hungry.
that was the
I'm
mental, it's mental
Cousin
stuff. But,
Kundalini.
yeah. But Headspace is awesome because you can do from 30 seconds to 10 minutes. You know, I started off doing 30 seconds, and then I built my way up to 3 minutes.
Another good point you bring up. You don't have to just dive right into something that is too overwhelming. Start
That's my
small.
problem.
We talk about this all the time.
That's the thing,
We did an epi on goals, and Mike and I were cutting each other off, going back and forth. But here he is looking at like the long term goal, which is phenomenal because he's gonna get there.
Right.
But my piece to him and to myself, what I try to live by, is just breaking it down to little tangible things that you can use as momentum to ultimately get you to the bigger goal.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, there's gonna be days you don't want to meditate. There's gonna be days you forget to meditate. So that's the thing. You start, you don't want to put all that pressure on yourself. So I have a saying too, is like, think small, win big. You know what I'm saying? Think small, win big all the time. I think, taking a little micro movements and really getting to learn yourself and see if meditation is for you, because you might have to go in a different direction. Some people like to go in the sauna to meditate. Some people like to, just really do certain things, like other things. Just read a book is a peace of mind. Anything you get peace of mind is meditation. When you are taking long walks for like an hour to 2 hours and just reflecting on life. And that's what I got more into now. Like really I work out every other day, but every other day I'm either doing yoga or I'm taking long walks and reflecting on life and really kind of connecting more into myself and see where I want to go in life. And then I just do, and then the other days I'm doing like strength training. So I'm definitely really kind of tapping into myself a lot more as I'm getting older and developing myself a little bit more of a growth and seeing where I want to be at,
And you say you never want to go back. Is that the biggest motivation for you? Is you just know how hard it was prior, and now that you're in a better space, and it's the other half of your life so far has been positive.
I like that. There you go.
Half.
For me personally, like the challenges and the journey, it was all worth it, man. I'll be honest with you, because I don't think if I didn't challenge myself the way I did, I don't think I have so much strength and positivity right now. Because I had
hustle.
I had to go through all that. I always had to hustle because I was, to pick up a pack and get people to buy your product. You had to, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you had competitors and competition.
Slinging memberships must be easy compared to that, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's your saying? Don't you have another saying in which you went from selling?
Oh, from selling dope to selling hope? Yeah. So that's the thing, for selling dope to selling hope. Man.
I need some more sayings. These are good.
Selling dope to selling hope.
Yeah, Mike is mediocre. I have a joke with him.
Yeah, he calls me mediocre Mike because he's trying to get me motivated.
Mike is Greek. Did you know his name is Mediocrity?
And 10-page Dave.
Yep, that's me.
And Pablo Placadio.
But I actually like the 10-page because
Thank you.
I'm not a big reader.
Thank you.
I'm not a big reader, but you actually open my mind up just by reading 10 pages a day for the year adds up.
Thank you,
and
James.
that's the thing.
Adds up to one book.
Listen, I'm an Audible guy.
See, you're an Audible guy too. See,
I'm an Audible guy, but like when I listen to Epi,
that's right.
I was like, whoa, this is like that gave me a different
easy.
perspective. Like you hear about reading up to 15 minutes a day, but like 10 pages a day is like, okay, that's good because you're actually taking in knowledge, and which is very important too. And then you're not putting too much pressure on yourself because we talked about that small movements and then winning big. But like the thing is, you do 10 pages a day, it's good. It don't matter if you finish the book in a year or 6 months or some people's quick readers finish the book in 2-3 days. But like long if you're going through that process and reading that book and getting it done and completing it, that's what's important.
Love you, James.
Well, the biggest thing, the biggest thing about that too is that realizing, like the biggest thing I think about is it's not a race. I always think that to myself. You're not racing people to finish a book. You're not racing. Well, you're racing sometimes.
You gotta remember though, Mike. You're not competing with anyone.
Yeah,
you don't want to.
That's
the biggest thing as being a human being. We put ourselves in these positions thinking we compete, and that's
doing your own.
One thing I learned that I'm not pleasing the community anymore. I'm like, dude, like I don't have nothing to prove to anybody back in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? I don't got to
it's
go
for
back
you.
and pull up with the latest whip or anything. I'm doing everything for myself and my family and what I got to do for me at the time being. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. You know? That's the thing.
All from yoga too, huh?
Yeah.
I gotta start doing some yoga.
Well, not all from yoga,
No,
but
I know,
I
I'm
think
just
honestly,
joking.
it's
Warrior
it's
too,
a
man.
mindset.
It's a mindset. I
Yeah.
think you have to develop.
that.
It's not easy, and every day life is a challenge. It's a process. Every day is not easy, you know. But like I told you, I remind myself I don't want to go back to where I'm at.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's always a fight. Life is always going to be a fight. Things can just happen.
James, I got a question. So you spoke on your message that you want to put out, and it's an amazing one, and kind of your vision. I want to speak on your legacy quick. Well, I want to ask you to speak on your legacy. So from you going into everything that you're involved in professionally, DJing, motivational speaking, successful author, and a DJ, what's the legacy that you want to kind of leave behind or pass on and kind of live through there?
The legacy I want to leave behind is the boy behind the face, being an author. I think the book has a message, and books is always going to last forever.
Right.
And being an author, and then creating more content, more series of this book is actually coming out now. But I think it just is going to help so many people because I think people can always go back to that. Being a trainer, I'm only one person. But being a DJ, I'm only one person.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, I can leave legacy with the DJ and being a personal trainer, but the book is always going to be there. By being an author, the book is always going to be there. People always can go look up The Boy Behind the Face, purchase it. Even when I'm not around, the book is still available for people. If people want to look up James McLeod, The Boy Behind the Face will come up. And, and if people want to see content, they can see content from the podcasters or just the school engagements or just me being who I am, just, on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere. People always can find that. So I think that's the legacy that I want to leave on people. It's like, wow, James was a positive force. James was definitely a positive force. And
You got to get a cartoon too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm working on that.
Yeah,
I'm actually working on a
personality.
superhero. I'm actually working on
nice.
like a superhero. You guys kind of gave me some inspiration too when I seen the cartoon on the podcast. I'm like, wow, I got to get me a cartoon going. But I had someone working on a cartoon, but the volume's not all the way there. So I'm trying to get someone that can actually add
We got
volume.
a guy who's very good at cartoons.
Like volume, you know what I'm saying? And just really put that together, Because I definitely wanted to do a YouTube channel where I was going to do daily affirmations, which I was telling them I'm going to put a book together and just have this cartoon of myself showing kids like, listen, wow, this guy is definitely different, but he got a cool lunchbox, he got a cape on, and he's giving us inspiration for the day.
I love this about James, though. So once he gets to one level,
Keeps leveling.
he just always challenges himself to just keep going and level up. And that's what the No Snooze lifestyle is all about. It's not just your fitness journey or your business.
Absolutely.
This is everything in life. So it's all so relatable. You have a large social media following. You're in schools. You're talking to kids, all throughout the week. I see it every day. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, on Instagram and all that stuff?
On all platforms, you can find me at That Vitiligo Guy, which is ThatVitiligoGuy. And then you can find me on my personal website, which is That Vitiligo Guy. Or you can look up The Boy Behind the Face. You can find all my platforms from there as well.
That's amazing. So
We're everywhere.
Yeah.
So our yoga class. Hit 'em up.
Yoga class.
So we
Namaste.
have-
That's the name when you
Namaste.
finish.
Namaste. I like that. Namaste, Reg.
No, namaste, not namaste.
Oh, namaste.
Napasta.
Namaste. So James, we have this thing at the end of each epi where we go into a little quote or something to kind of leave people with. So this is going to bring us into Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes.
If you're lucky enough to get a chance at something, don't waste it.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a very good one.
I like that.
So Miguel's mantras of the week is what consumes your mind controls your life.
I like that one. And James, we're going to put you on the spot here. We're going to hit you with James Gems.
My thing is here, smile and let your happy shine.
I love it. Guys, that's a wrap. Until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it. That's another epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.